Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we are solving minimum changes to make alternating binary string. So we will be given a string S consisting of only characters 0 and 1, and in an operation we can change any 0 to a 1 or any 1 to a 0, and the string is called alternating if no two adjacent characters are equal. So our goal is to return the minimum number of operations that is needed to make the string alternating. So if we look at this example, we can change this from 0 to 1 and it will be alternating. So it only took one operation, so we return 1. This is already alternating, so we return 0. And for this, we can either change these two to zeros, or we can change the first one and the third one to 0. So either way, it will take two operations, so we return 2. So now that we have seen some examples, let's get to how we can solve this problem. So in this problem, we realized that to make it an alternating string, there are only two options. We can make it start with a 1 and follow this pattern, or we can make it start with 0 and follow along with this pattern. So we can either have a string that starts with 1 or start with 0, and as we look through the input string, if we want to make it start with 1, then if we come across an even number index, and keep in mind that these strings are 0 indexed, if an even index is equal to 0, then we will have to make a change it to 1, so it will be start 1 plus 1. If an odd index is equal to 1, we will have to change it to make it 0, so we will increment start 1 again, and the vice versa will be for start 0. If we come across an even index that's 1, we will have to change it to 0, so we will add start 0 by 1, and the same thing for an odd index that's equal to 0, then we will have to change it to make it equal to 1, and in the end we will return the lesser between these two variables. So just to sum it up in words, initialize start 0 and start 1 to 0, iterate through the string. If it's on an even index, number is 0, increment start 1 by 1. If the number is 1 on an even index, increment start 0 by 1, and on an odd index, if the number is 1, increment start 1 by 1, else if the number is 0, then increment start 0 by 1, and in the end we'll return the smaller of these two variables. So let's go over this example real quick. So in the beginning we are at 0, so if we wanted to start with 1, we'll have to change this one, so increment start 1. Come to this one, if it starts with 1, this will have to be a 0, so increment start 1 by 1 again, and we come to the next one. If we want to make a 1 0 1 0 that pattern, then we have to change this string again, so increment start 1 by 1 again. Now if we want the string to start with 0, meaning 0 1 0 1, for it to be alternating, then we will have to edit the string that starts with 0, so we will increment this by 1. And finally, this is smaller than this, so we can return 1 as the result, and the time complexity would be O of n, where n is a number of letters in the string, because that is a number of characters that we have to iterate through, and the space complexity would be O of 1, because the size of these two variables will not depend on the size of the input string. So now let's get to the coding part. So first we will initialize start 0 and start 1 to both 0, and now we can look through the string. If it is an even index, so we will mod 2 if it's equal to 0, and if the number is 0, then we will need to increment start 1 by 1, because we are changing from 0 to 1. Otherwise, we will increment start 0 by 1. Now if it is an odd index and the number is equal to 1, then we will increment start 1 by 1. Otherwise, we'll increment start 0 by 1. And finally, we will return the lesser between start 0 and start 1. Okay, let's see if it works. Okay, perfect. Thank you all for watching. Hope this was helpful. If you have any other questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section, and I hope to see you all again soon.